It's Wednesday, March the 22nd, 2017, and this is your Barbados Today evening update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour, a 14-year-old secondary school boy is in critical condition in hospital at this hour after being struck in the head during an incident at the rural school yesterday afternoon. Police say another male student is assisting them in their investigations but declined to provide any further details. That planned industrial action by the National Union of Public Workers has been called off for the time being. NUPW President Akani McDowell told Barbados Today this morning the new development has come about because government has now agreed to return to the bargaining table on April the 4th to discuss the union's demand for 23% pay hike for public officers. McDowell says it's a step in the right direction, considering that the last meeting was in October last year.
What we hope we would get coming out of the meeting now is that we would have some kind of agreement. Remember that these negotiations for quite some time, so you have to continue to meet. The government would know. But what it would do is that it would give the government the opportunity to bring their side of the story, and the union will bring their information or our information and present it to the government. I think everybody in Barbados by now knows what the union's position is in relation to salary increases. We are asking for 23%, but I want people to remember that 23% is really the maximum, and that is the desired amount that we require. But you know, we negotiate, as I said, and then we come to some kind of agreement with government on the amount of money that should be given to public servants.
Developers of the controversial 15-story Hyatt Resort Hotel, which have been given the go-ahead to start construction on Lower Bay Street, the city, may, however, be stopped in their tracks, at least temporarily. That's because social and political activist David Comishong filed an injunction in the High Court this morning challenging Prime Minister Francis Stewart's decision to grant planning permission before, as Comishong says, certain environmental and social conditions are met. Comishong told reporters minutes before lodging the documents in the registry that he is basing his challenge on 12 grounds, including the fact that an environmental impact assessment has not been conducted in accordance with the relevant regulations.
If the rules and regulations say that before you can get permission to construct a hotel of that size, of that magnitude, you must first undergo an environmental impact assessment, then that must apply to everyone. If the rules and regulations say that you must hold at least one town hall meeting to have consultation with the people of Barbados, particularly the residents of the nearby communities, then that must apply to all citizens. If the rules say that a hotel should be no more than 7 stories, and if developers in the past have applied and they for structures in excess of 7 stories and have been told that the regulation is no more than 7 stories, then that must apply to everybody.
Barbadian private sector exporters have been benefiting significantly from a €15 million investment facility under the 10th European Development Fund. Addressing the signing ceremony for the €24 million contribution agreement for the 11th EDF at the Lloyd Erskine Sandifer Center this morning, Prime Minister Francis Stewart revealed that almost 10% of the 6,000 Caribbean export firms are Barbadian. In fact, he noted that Bisco was named Caribbean Exporter for 2016.
With the accomplishments gained from the implementation of the 10th EDF, Barbados and the region look forward to continued success under the 11th EDF. The signing today of the contribution agreement for the 11th EDF is another clear indication of the EU's steadfast commitment to the region and its support of Caribbean export in implementing programs aimed at assisting the private sector in Caribbean countries with the ultimate aim of generating an inclusive and sustainable growth, reducing poverty, and creating employment.
The case in which 14 police officers are appealing a High Court decision to dismiss their challenge against being bypassed for promotion got underway this morning before a 3-member panel of judges. Attorney for the officers, Ralph Thorne QC, only covered 2 of his 18 grounds of appeal and will continue his submissions on May the 18th. Our Fenella Wedderburn was in court today for the marathon hearing and files this report.
In a 5-hour-long address to Chief Justice Marston Gibson and Justices of Appeal Andrew Burgess and Kay Goodrich, Attorney Ralph Thorne QC laid a case for the court to reverse a decision made by High Court Judge Madam Justice Margaret Refer on December 23rd last year. Back then, Judge Refer dismissed the case in which 14 police officers were suing the Police Service Commission for excluding them from a 2012 list of promotions. Thorne told the 3-member panel in the appeals court today that the judge erred when she found that there was no legal impropriety in the manner that the PSC dealt with the names of several of the applicants. He said if the PSC questioned any of the recommendations, then it must refer the matter back to the Commissioner of Police, which was not done. The Queen's Counsel maintained that the PSC was not an executive body and as such does not have the power to remove the names from the list in the manner that it did and substitute it with its own. Fenella Wedderburn, Barbados Today.
Cable and Wireless Communications, known as Flow in Barbados, has announced a new management restructuring plan. Only yesterday, the company's managing director, Niall Sheehy, resigned. But this morning, new president for the Caribbean, Garfield Sinclair, said there was no need to worry as the company undergoes the changes. Sinclair told reporters at Flow's Warren's office that Vice President of C&W Business, Jensen Sylvester, has been appointed interim managing director for Barbados operations with a permanent replacement yet to be hired. In sport, Bailey's Primary are the kings of the 2017 National Primary Schools Athletics Championship, or NAPSAC, while Charles F. Broome are the queens. Both schools, which were champions back in 2015, regained the top positions this afternoon at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex before a full house. The Champion of Champions will now take place on Saturday at the same venue.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Get your paper, get your paper. Only $2.25. $2.20 who? For what? That's the Bear Stare News. I don't read about that from Barbados today since last night. That can't only can't do. $2.20 who?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Neighboring Martinique is assisting St. Lucia in treating those injured in a deadly explosion that occurred at a quarry in the north of the island yesterday evening, leaving 4 people dead. More than a dozen are being treated for serious injuries following the blast at the quarry where workers were welding a container carrying dynamite. 4 of the injured have been airlifted to Martinique. 3 doctors from Martinique are also at the Victoria Hospital in St. Lucia to assist. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, who went to the scene last night, has since visited the hospital where the injured are being treated. One of the workers who narrowly escaped with his life said he tried unsuccessfully to help put out the initial fire before the explosion.
I almost lost my life in the same thing too. Yeah.
How do you think it happened?
How it happened? Well, some guy started to weld on top of the container, and the container contained inside of it. You understand? Now I feel some sparks of the welding enter inside the container. It started the fire. That's how it happened. The noise is there inside, and they still try to pull the fire out. Now it's just coming from inside of the container. You understand what I'm telling you? I have the fire extinguisher in my hand to put out the fire, and a fat pan I come and take that in my hand, and I just run out to want to take 2 buckets of water. Check it. And once I take the 2 buckets of water, I explode. Boom! I explode. Boom! 3 people end up dying inside.
And on the international scene, 4 people, including an armed police officer and a man believed to be the attacker, have died in a terrorist incident near the Houses of Parliament. Scotland Yard said that one of the victims was among several pedestrians hit by a car on Westminster Bridge before it crashed. An officer protecting Parliament was stabbed by an attacker who was shot by police. At least 20 people were injured, including 3 other officers.
An assailant has been shot and dozens of people have been injured at an incident in central London. I'm Reuters reporter Mia Womersley in front of the Houses of Parliament, where people have reported hearing gunshots and seeing dozens of people lying injured on a bridge. A parliamentary official earlier said that 2 people had been shot. The House of Commons was shut down, the session has been suspended, and there are reports that Theresa May is safe. A Reuters reporter inside the Houses of Parliament said medical staff are treating 2 people whilst the session was suspended, and the nearby tube station, Westminster Tube Station, has been closed down. A Reuters photographer said that he saw dozens of people lying across the length of the bridge. There's been some speculation that maybe a car was involved because they didn't hear any gunshots there on that bridge, although some were reported to have been heard by MPs inside the House of Commons.
And that's news and sports, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper email updates and like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, our screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.